Welcome back to Nostalgianomics. You know, I kind of feel bad at this point. I feel sorry for all the people that have followed the fearmongers, that have followed all the channels that are constantly doom and gloom and against this market. It's like they're all salmon trying to swim against the current, which is the Pokemon market. And they finally get to the top and they end up dying. If you guys don't know, a lot of salmon end up dying once they swim against the current and lay their eggs. And I feel like that's what's happening with a lot of people in this hobby that refuse to just turn around and go with the flow. Go with the trend. The trend is your friend. And we are consistently seeing new legs up on all different singles and slabs and boxes. And everyone continues to be mystified by it. They're all in disbelief. And they reach out to me. They say, Alex, can you believe X, Y, or Z item moved? And I say, yeah, I've been investing in these items because I believed this was going to happen. I've been telling people now for years that Scarlet Violet era is going to far exceed anything we saw in Sword and Shield era. And now we're seeing Paldea Evolved surpass Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles. It's now surpassed Astral Radiance and Silver Tempest. It's on its way eyeing Chilling Reign and Brilliant Stars to start to overtake those sets. And I believe we're going to continue to see more and more Scarlet Violet era sets overtake the vast majority of the Sword and Shield sets. Obviously, Deaths and Rivals, we see Obsidian Flames jumping into the mid-300s. Twilight Masquerade is right on the edge at 300. And people are truly underestimating the scarcity on this market. And what I mean is the amount of products out there compared to what were out there in the same time frame as Sword and Shield, even what's out there still with Sword and Shield when Scarlet Violet era packs are now starting to sell for more than them in the boxes as well. And so this opens up opportunities for singles, for other sealed product. We're going to go over those today. But I just want to go over some data with you guys and give you guys an idea where my head's at least. So before we do that, I got to shout out today's video sponsor. It is Arizona TCG. They are your source for consignment on all of your graded cards. You pack them all up, send them to them. They do all the work of selling for you, send you a big check at the end. They run everything through their 100% positive feedback over 4,000 follower eBay store. And they provide you with this nice little calculator so you can kind of estimate what you think your card's worth. And you can get an idea of what it's going to cost you to sell it yourself on eBay with fees and shipping. And what Arizona TCG would pay you out doing all the work for you. So, if that sounds like something you want to take advantage of, I'll leave the link to Arizona TCG in the comment section and the description below. So, here it is. Paldea Evolved. $489.99. 2 boxes. Then you have $493, $488 plus shipping, $489.99 plus shipping, which is basically $500, and then we officially get to $499.99, $500. There's about 3 to 4 boxes left under $500 for Paldea Evolved. Not just that, there's 38 listings left on the market for these boxes of a set that's still in print, printed into the ground. MSRP on Scarlet Violet. No. Silver Tempest. The lowest box in the market right now is $475 plus 10 shipping, making Paldea Evolved now eclipsing Silver Tempest. Not just that, there are more Silver Tempest listings available than Paldea Evolved, meaning it's more scarce out there. Brilliant Stars, $520 is now the lowest box of Brilliant Stars in the market. $30 away from what Paldea Evolved is already at. And get this, there's more Brilliant Stars listings than Paldea Evolved. About 20% more. Wait, hold on, 20%? Yeah, about 20% more. Chilling Reign, $555 a box. About $65 more than Paldea right now. 44 listings available. Still more than Paldea. Paldea is still more scarce. That's why it's climbing in price. You have Battle Styles, which has a few less listings actually than Paldea. And it's at $270. All right. Now, I've been talking to some people in my Discord about this. All people who obviously friends with, respect, all that. But here's one of the fallacies I think people fall into in Pokemon. Battle Styles is up, right? It was in the 180s, and now it's up in the 260s, 270s. The issue is, Pokemon Steel product goes up. No one's denying that, with basically every product. The problem is what you could do with the money at the same time. And so this is why I'm not always the biggest fan of buying into the cheap products that nobody wants, because eventually they'll catch up. Because back 6 months ago, when you bought this in the 180s, you could have been picking Paldea up for $35 more. And now that 215 turned into almost $500, whereas the Battle Styles 185 only turned into 270. And so that's why it's not always the best idea to go back in these eras and try to pick up all the weakest sets because they haven't moved yet. You're probably better off just still buying the best sets in the current era. The Destined Rivals, the Paldea Evolve, the Surging Sparks, 151, Paldea and Fates. Those are the ones that are still going to outproduce the gains, because even if a box is already, say, $400 and the cheap boxes are $200, the other box is probably going to get to $800 before the other ones get to $400. That's just the way this hobby works, guys. So that's the only thing I have against like the cheaper sets like Battle Styles, but you're still going to do good in them. Don't get me wrong. If you want to diversify, you're still going to make money, right? Prismatic Evolutions is one that I have been trolled on endlessly on YouTube now since I started promoting it. And here we are. I talked about picking up these Prismatic ETB cases in the midst of the reprints and the restocks at the Sam's and the Costco's and the online Walmarts and all the different places where hundreds of thousands of packs and hundreds of thousands of products were being reprinted. Here's the recent sales. $13.60, $13.55. Cheapest one on the market right now is $13.50 plus 6 shipping. Here are the only cases available on TCG Player of the Prismatic Evolutions bundles. By the way, this one is not sealed. That's why it's cheaper. Or Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. Guys, the promo card in this is already rising. I believe it's already like 120 to 130 in a PSA 10. And the ETB cases are continuing to rise. Obviously, the ETBs and the bundles and the packs are a little down right now because obviously all the reprints. But even those are rising. The packs dipped briefly and now they're back on the rise. The bundles are dipping. The ETBs dipped briefly and are back on the rise. Guys, these packs, I'm going to say it again, are still the most open set by far every single night of my live streams, and this is the same for most other streamers out there. Eventually, these are going to get scarce, and you're not going to find them just like 151, just like Paldea and Fates. I urge you, while things are cheap right now, do not miss this opportunity. When you go search Prismatic Evolutions, right, and you go look at... Let's scroll down. We'll look at the packs. We'll look at the bundles. And we'll look at the ETBs. When you see these loose packs at $9 to $9.40, when you see these booster bundles in the mid to high 50s, when you see these ETBs for $100 to $105, mark my words, there is going to come a time when this looks like a ridiculous deal and you're going to say, I wish I would have bought more. This is that time. I know it's always fun when we go back and talk about things after they happened. This is the time when it is happening. You're going to want to take advantage of this set. Sort of similar to this card. Remember when I talked about this card? Remember when I told everybody I was making a play on this card and I think it's a good play to make? Remember before it went from $100 to $230, right? Remember before it was a $540 card back when it was $220? But Alex, I need distribution to be able to do well in Pokemon. Alex, I need to buy at MSRP. Well, you don't need distribution to buy single cards and slabs. Well, there is no MSRP on single cards and slabs, meaning anybody could have made this play without feeling bad about yourself for being a scalper or buying over MSRP or not having distribution. And you could have literally over doubled your money in a few months. Put it out there publicly. It didn't jump right away after I made my video. There was no market manipulation. It was just a card that was severely undervalued, and because people would click on it and say, watch, they would click on it and they would say this. They say, Alex, I don't know. Look at the population. There's almost 20,000 of them, Alex. It's too scary. Can't do it. Can't do it. The population's too high. Well, that's what happens. This is what happens when you're too scared to take action. You miss out. And so this brings us to plays that I think are available right now. We just talked about Paldea Evolved raising in price. It's almost a $500 box. This Tyranitar card is still the same price as it was almost a year ago. This Tyranitar card is not moving. You can still pick it up in the high 40s. That is the same artist that drew the Groudon. That is a beautiful card. In my opinion, probably the best Tyranitar ever printed. My opinion. In a PSA 10, you can still find it in the low to mid 400s. Now, when you click on one of these listings, you'll see there's only 1,400 of these in existence in a 10 out of 7,200 graded. Do the math, guys. That's like 20-something%. Now, we just saw the Mewtwo. This card went from 220 to 550, 540, and it's got almost 20,000. Then we go look at the Tyranitar. It's a $400 card, and there's only 1,400 in existence. What do you think is going to happen when people start to realize this and start to pick this card up in mass? And then you go shop for them and you realize, well, Alex, there's only 1, 2, 3, 7, 11, 12 of these on the whole market. There's only 10 Tyranitars on the market right now. The Raichu card, also from Paldea Evolved. It's in the mid-40s. It's a bit lower than the Tyranitar in a 10, but you can still find them in the 380s, under $400. Raichu's the same way, guys. Look at this. 1,363 copies in existence out of 6,491 graded. When we go look at the Raichu, there's a few at auction. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total Raichus available on the market. And some of these are at auction. They're going to be gone. That's it. That's all that exists. These are going to get so scarce so fast, much more than the Mewtwo was, guys. This is not as plentiful as Crown Zenith was. This does not say as cheap as with packs as Crown Zenith did. The Mewtwo's were everywhere, and they did what they did. What do you think is going to happen to these cards? This is Raichu. This is Tyranitar. These are popular species. And then obviously it brings us to the Magikarp. The Magikarp obviously is right back to its all-time high. We didn't look at the Raichu. The Raichu, if we look at the year, it's still down, nowhere near its all-time high. Now, the Magikarp's already moved. Just because things have moved doesn't mean all the opportunity is over. The PSA 10 is still sticking right around that $2,100 mark, which, as you guys know, this card did hit the high twos, if not $3,000 for a sale or two. So this card's been there before, right? It's down in, almost 35% or so from its highs, right? Something like that. And so it's been there before, right? When you look at the availability of this card, 32 results. Probably less because some of these are Japanese, some are CGC. So I would say less than 30 results on the market. And even though Magikarp's this high, you've seen Umbreon VMAX recover. Paldea Eval is now $500 a box. We'll see. Magikarp's the same way. 3,400 10s out of 18,000 graded. People are trying, guys. This isn't one of those scenarios where, no one's grading it. People are trying to grade it. Nobody can get 10s. This is going to be under a 20% 10 rate. Insanity. Paradox Rift is starting to rise too. $260 a box now. Which brings us to the Groudon. Same artist as the Tyranitar. It's already got a lot of love, but it's nowhere near its all-time high. It's still relatively far down from there. It's still selling under $80 near mint. And when we look at the 10s, there are still sales happening right around $400, if not under $400. Now, the difference with the Groudon is the pop report is a little bit higher. 4,400 10s out of 11,000. So it's under 50%, so it's still relatively hard to grade, but it's not on the same lines as the Tyranitar and the Raichu and the Magikarp. Also, the Paradox Rift box is almost half the price of the Paldea box. So almost half the price box. And the Groudon, right, is a lot easier to grade. A lot more copies out there. Meaning, I still think there's more opportunity in the Paldea illustration rares. But the Groudon's going to do well also, guys. Everyone wants that top hit. The last one I'm going to shout out is Obsidian Flames. Have you guys seen Obsidian Flames? It's on a tear. It is in the mid-330s now. Look, that's what it's selling for daily. It's on path to outpace Destined Rivals. It's going to take spot number 2 next to Paldea here soon. And by the way, it's going out of print next year with Paldea in April. And so the one I'm looking at in Obsidian Flames, this Ninetales. Look at this Ninetales. In the past year, it's nowhere near its all-time high. You can still find this in the mid to low 20s. And the card to PSA 10 is in the mid-300s. Ninetales is relatively the same way. 4,000 graded, or 4,000 10s out of 16,000 graded. A fourth. Only a fourth of them are getting 10s. And when we look at the total market, there's only 28 listings. And as you guys know, not every one of these is the right listing. But yeah, 28 or less listings on the entire market. Guys, don't be the salmon. Don't continue to try to swim against the trend. Don't swim against the stream and continue to complain and continue to whine and moan and curse everybody that is enjoying this market, that continues to see their collectibles rise in value. And maybe start taking a chance. Start taking action. Even though things are higher than what you thought they would be or what you wanted them to be, it doesn't mean they're a bad buy. It doesn't mean there's not still opportunity out there. I hope some of you out there stop buying into the fear-mongering, start understanding that we're in a different time, a different market. These items are becoming more scarce than ever. Some of these PSA 10 cards are more scarce than we've ever seen in Sword and Shield era. And judging by what's happening with those cards there, with the high pop reports they have, just take your guess at what these cards are going to go for once they go through their intense growth phase, especially with these boxes starting to be worth $300, $400, $500. That's all I got. Hope the video helped. Be back in a new one soon, guys. We're out.